Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Jacksonville Buzz. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton, and joining me in the studio today is my co-host, Wally Conway, and we have Emanuel Premate from PadSplit. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Greatly appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is PadSplit?
Yeah, so PadSplit is the nation's one of the fastest growing real estate tech companies right now. We're the largest platform for shared housing. Essentially what we do is we allow our investors and empower investors to earn 2 to 3 times more on their rental properties through a rent by the room model. And so we handle the marketing, getting those rooms booked. We also handle the screenings, doing the background check, doing the income verification, and also doing the eviction report. And then we also do the 24/7 support, right? That's a big challenge when you have multiple people living in the same home. It can be challenging, so that's where our team comes in and provides all that support. And lastly, we also do payment collection as well. So really trying to simplify the shared housing business, which has generally always been a complex business for real estate investors. It's known to be lucrative, but the challenge has been, how do you do it efficiently? How do you optimize the process? And also, how do you scale, right? We have real estate investors who have upwards of 20, 30, 40, 50 properties, with each one having 4 to 8 rooms. That would be really, really challenging to kind of manage and build out on your own, those business processes. And that's where we take responsibility for a lot of that.
With these challenges we're seeing in the finance market, how is PadSplit making additional acquisition of homes suddenly profitable again, even in the face of high finance costs?
Right, so that's, we have the application, we have the website, but a big part of this model as well is seeing where there's underutilized space, right? Because our belief here at PadSplit is that it's not that there's not enough homes in the US, right? It's that the space that are in these existing homes are being underutilized. Currently, there's a 7.2 million unit housing shortage, right? And we're facing unprecedented times here in the real estate market with these very high interest rates that we haven't seen in decades. And it truly is a new era that we're entering into. And so investors are having to get really creative and pivot from the strategies that maybe worked in the past and find new strategies like this rent by the room strategy. And so what I do in my role is seeing how we can optimize that underutilized space, creating that additional housing, and then in turn making it a lot more profitable, where you're making 2 to 3 times more on your rental property.
That gets my attention 2 to 3 times more.
Kidding.
Yeah.
If I want to be a completely hands-off investor, do I need a property management company in addition to PadSplit, or does PadSplit my one-stop shop?
So that's a really good point, and thank you for bringing that up. So at PadSplit, we do have our vendor network that's available, and this vendor network does include property managers, lenders who understand how to lend on PadSplit, also realtors as well who've been trained for PadSplit, insurance providers as well. You name it, anyone who's along in that journey that you need to help you go live on our platform is there to help you. And so to answer your question, the easiest way to break it down and keep it simple is that we do the people management, and then the investor is responsible for the property management, or they can outsource it to a property manager in our vendor network. And they will handle the maintenance. They will handle the turns of the rooms, meaning when somebody moves out, doing a deep clean. They will also handle any of the lawn care, pest control, anything that's kind of physical, hands-on. Kind of the easiest platform to compare to like Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
But we have a completely untapped demographic here that we're really marketing to, which is the local workforce community, specifically targeting those who are making between $20,000 to $60,000, who are in need of an affordable option. Airbnb, quite frankly, is very saturated. There's a lot of regulation, and there's no shortage of hotels in the U.S. There's a 7.2 million housing shortage in the U.S., and that's where we help.
You mentioned something that's really interesting to me, and we know lots of folks who are getting pushback with Airbnb from various communities and HOAs. How are you helping the investor navigate the regulatory pieces in their community to welcome PadSplit?
Yeah, that's a really big component, and we do have a legal structure and strategy that mitigates the host's risk with the PadSplit model. And so essentially the way it works is we will create an individual LLC for every single PadSplit home that comes onto our platform. And then there's a corporate long-term lease agreement with the host or their LLC in which the home is held. So in the eyes of the law, it's a long-term lease agreement, and that individual entity listed as the the tenant is that PadSplit LLC. Now, the individuals who stay at a PadSplit are referred to as members. And the reason we refer to them as members and not as tenants or as guests is because they have to agree to a member's operating agreement to become a member of that PadSplit LLC. Apologies. And so that is how we have been able to scale now to over 11,000 units nationwide. Here in Jacksonville alone, we have about 1,100, and there's no slowing down. Yeah, we have an 85% occupancy rate, and average weekly rate here in Jacksonville is about 170, but that does greatly vary on where you're located. And what's nice at PadSplit is that we love data. We're a tech company, but most importantly, we love to share that data, right? And share that data with our investors. So we actually have a publicly available map where investors can see the average weekly rate for every zip code, the occupancy rate, how many days does it take to that first booking. And what I do in my role, I serve the local community and the investor community, educating them and guiding them on the guidelines, potential earnings, and making sure that they're set up for success. Like, that's my number one goal.
He's quite the educator.
He is. He certainly is. I've learned a lot.
Thank you.
And I look forward to following this to see how it grows over the next couple of years.
It's just
Thank
getting
you for
started.
Coming in.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I really appreciate it.
And if you'd like to know any more information about PadSplit, of course, you can always find it at dailynewsnetwork.com.